Have you ever wanted someone so badly that you found yourself doing things you swore you never would? Texting first, overthinking every word, waiting for her reply like it determined your worth. We've all been there. But what if I told you there's a way to flip the game? To make her chase you, not because of manipulation, but because of a deep psychological power that most men never learn to use. That's what we're talking about today, the Machiavellian method, the dirtiest, most forbidden way to seduce any woman, not through fake charm or sweet lies, but through a mastery of dark psychology and stoic power. So before we begin, if you're ready to learn how to become the man she can't stop thinking about, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and stay with me till the very end. Because this video might just change the way you look at love, desire, and attraction forever. 1. Control the frame. Never let her set the tone. Have you ever been in a situation where you liked a woman so much that you started changing yourself for her? Maybe you started texting faster, agreeing with everything she said, or pretending to be chill even when your stomach was twisting inside. We've all been there. That one girl who made you feel like she held all the power. Her attention could make your entire day, and her silence could destroy your peace. But here's what you didn't realize back then. You weren't losing her because you weren't enough. You were losing her because you lost the frame. The frame is the invisible boundary that defines who leads emotionally in any interaction. If she can control your mood, she controls you. If she can make you chase, explain, or prove yourself, you've handed her the power. Let's be honest. Think about your last heartbreak. Remember how she could go cold overnight? How one unanswered text made you spiral? You started overthinking. Did I say something wrong? Did she lose interest? And without realizing it, you gave her your power. That's exactly what Machiavelli warned against. Giving emotional control to someone who hasn't earned it. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, gave the antidote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. To control the frame, you must first control yourself. You don't react to her moods. You respond from calmness. You don't chase her approval. You set the emotional tone and let her adjust to it. Because here's the truth. When a woman realizes she can't emotionally shake you, something inside her shifts. She starts to respect you. She starts to wonder about you. That's when attraction turns into obsession. Not because you said the right thing, but because you refuse to let her control the frame. 2. The art of strategic mystery. Have you ever noticed how the person who tells you everything about themselves too soon suddenly becomes less interesting? Maybe there was a woman once. She told you every detail of her life on the first few dates. And though it felt intimate, something about the mystery disappeared. Now flip that. Think about a woman who never fully revealed herself. You couldn't quite figure her out. Her eyes said one thing, her words said another. You'd lie awake at night thinking about what she really meant. That's the power of mystery. And here's the hard truth. Men often lose attraction power because they overexpose themselves too early. They talk too much, explain too much, reveal too much, all because they want her to understand them. But the moment you become predictable, she stops wondering. And when she stops wondering, she stops desiring. You see, attraction doesn't live in comfort. It lives in curiosity. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He understood that people chase what they can't fully possess. And Marcus Aurelius, though a Stoic, lived by the same truth in a different way. He valued silence, self-discipline, and inner stillness. Combine these two, and you get the formula for strategic mystery. The art of revealing just enough to spark her curiosity, while keeping your depth hidden beneath calm confidence. Imagine this. You're texting her, and she asks, "So what are you up to tonight?" You could say, "Nothing much, just home." Or you could smile and reply, "Something I've been looking forward to all week." Then say nothing more. Now her mind spins. What's he doing? With who? Why didn't he say? And just like that, you're living rent-free in her thoughts. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about restraint. It's about letting her earn access to your story piece by piece. When you stop oversharing and let silence do the heavy lifting, your presence becomes magnetic. Because here's the secret most men never learn. The less she knows, the more she feels. And in the world of seduction, feeling is everything. 3. The power of controlled attention. Have you ever given your full attention to a woman? Texting her the moment she messages, liking her posts, trying to show her she means something, only to feel her drift further away? It's confusing, isn't it? You think, but I'm being kind, I'm showing interest. Why isn't she valuing it? Here's the truth that most men never want to hear. The more you give freely, the less it's worth. You see, attention is like a rare gem. It only has value when it's scarce. And the moment you start giving it without boundaries, it becomes invisible, expected, and unappreciated. Now think back to the first time you liked someone deeply. Remember how she made you feel? You'd wait for her messages, your heart racing every time her name popped up on your screen. But over time, as you gave her more of your focus, she stopped matching your energy. That's not because she stopped caring. It's because she stopped chasing your attention. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote that people value what is difficult to attain. And in the language of attraction, your attention is the prize. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, believed that what you give your focus to defines your strength. So combine these two ideas, and you have the Machiavellian, Stoic principle of attraction. Control your attention like it's sacred. When you talk to her, make it count. Look her in the eye, listen with focus. Let her feel your full energy. But once the moment ends, pull it back. Go silent. Return to your world, your mission, your purpose. This sudden shift, from full engagement to calm detachment, drives her mind wild. She starts wondering, why did his energy suddenly change? Where did he go? Who has his attention now? That's when she starts chasing, not for validation, but for your presence. Controlled attention is the purest form of psychological seduction, because when you know when to give and when to hold back, she feels that your time isn't free, it's earned. And when a woman realizes that your attention has a price, she'll crave it more than your touch. 4. Seduction through emotional detachment. Have you ever cared so much for someone that it actually scared you? You wanted her so badly that you started walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing, afraid to lose her, afraid she'd stop feeling the same way. That fear, that anxious pull, it's what kills attraction faster than anything else. Because the moment she feels that you need her more than she needs you, the dynamic shifts and the seduction dies. Now imagine this instead, a man who likes her but doesn't need her. He gives affection but never begs for attention. He's present but never dependent. He's emotionally connected yet fully detached. That's what I call the art of seductive detachment. And it's the most dangerous and powerful form of attraction you can ever master. See, Machiavelli understood something most people never do. Whoever desires too much becomes the slave of desire. And Marcus Aurelius echoed that truth when he said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting your feelings control you. When you detach, you take back emotional power. You no longer chase validation. You create it from within. You no longer fear losing her, because you realize that you are already whole. Let me tell you a short story. There was a man named Daniel. He was madly in love with a woman who always kept him guessing. One day she'd be warm and affectionate, the next distant and cold. He tried everything, texting more, being sweeter, showing her he cared. But the more he gave, the more she pulled away. Until one day Daniel stopped chasing. He didn't stop loving her. He just stopped reacting. He focused on his work, his fitness, his peace. When she went silent, he didn't panic. He smiled and stayed centered. And something strange happened. She started to feel his absence. She started to wonder, what changed? Why isn't he trying anymore? Her curiosity turned into longing. Her longing turned into desire. That's the paradox of emotional detachment. When you no longer need her, she starts needing you. Because emotional detachment creates mystery. It tells her, you don't define my happiness, I do. And that calm confidence, that quiet strength, is magnetic. It's not about playing games. It's about standing so firm in your sense of self that her moods no longer control your emotions. A woman will always test your stability. She'll pull away, go cold or challenge you, not to hurt you, but to see if you're solid enough to handle her energy. And when you respond with emotional detachment, not bitterness, not anger, but peace, she feels something she rarely feels in today's world: safety. Because she realizes that no matter what she does, you remain unshaken. That's when true seduction begins. Not through words, not through gifts, not through effort, but through your calm, mysterious, emotionally untouchable energy. The man who can love deeply yet remain detached is a man no woman can ever truly forget. 5. Create desire through controlled absence. Have you ever noticed how much more you miss someone when they're not around? Think about it. That moment when she doesn't text you for a day, your mind starts to replay her laugh, her smile, the last thing she said to you. Suddenly, the silence feels louder than words. Now flip that. What if you became the one who creates that silence, that mystery, that absence she can't ignore? See, most men destroy attraction by being too available. They text too much. They show up too often. They make themselves predictable. And predictability kills desire, because desire feeds on tension. It thrives in uncertainty. It needs space to grow. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men should be either caressed or destroyed." Extreme, maybe. But his point was simple. When you're too present, too predictable, you remove her hunger to chase. You make her comfortable. And comfort is the death of attraction. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Adrian, a strong, quiet type. He loved a woman deeply, but he never drowned her in attention. When they were together, he gave her his full presence, laughter, eye contact, confidence. But after that, he vanished. No endless texts, no checking if she'd eaten, no desperate good morning messages. At first, she was confused. Why doesn't he chase me like other men? She thought. But as the hours turned to days, she started wondering, what's he doing? Who's he with? And that curiosity slowly turned into obsession, because the absence created imagination, and imagination is far more powerful than presence. When you disappear with purpose, when your absence is calm, not cold, she starts filling the silence with her own emotions. She starts thinking about you when she least expects it. That's when desire begins to take root. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." When you're always chasing her presence, you give her power. But when you master controlled absence, you take that power back, because your energy becomes scarce, and scarcity creates value. Don't vanish out of anger, vanish out of mastery. Your absence should feel intentional, not emotional. When you walk away, walk like a man who knows he's missed. Because the man who can stay silent when every part of him wants to reach out, that man is dangerous. Controlled absence makes her realize what your presence truly meant. It makes her compare every man to you, your energy, your calm, your depth. And every time she doesn't find it, she misses you more. So stop fearing distance. Stop fearing silence. Let her imagination do the work for you. Because when you disappear strategically, she doesn't forget you. She starts chasing you. That's the secret Machiavelli understood. Sometimes, to be desired, you must first withdraw. Your absence, when done right, speaks louder than your presence ever could. 6. Influence through emotional contrast. Have you ever noticed how the moments of silence after a heated argument feel deafening, or how a single smile after a long, cold silence feels electrifying? That's emotional contrast, the invisible power that makes people feel you more deeply than anyone else. And when you master it, you don't just attract, you influence. See, the human mind doesn't crave constant pleasure. It craves fluctuation, the rise and fall, the calm and the storm. If you're always calm, always nice, always predictable, she'll stop feeling you. But if you can make her heart beat faster, then slow again. Not through manipulation, but through emotional awareness, she'll start to associate that intensity with you. Let me take you into a story. There was a man named Leo, calm, mysterious, and self-controlled. When he spoke, he didn't rush. When he laughed, it was genuine. And when he got serious, his silence made the whole room shift. The woman he was seeing once said, "I can never quite read you. You make me feel everything, calm, nervous, excited, all at once." She didn't realize it, but she was describing emotional contrast. Machiavelli understood this power long before psychology ever named it. He knew that influence isn't built by giving constant reassurance. It's built through controlled unpredictability, by giving warmth and then pulling it back just enough to create space, by being passionate one moment and reflective the next. It's not about playing games, it's about energy rhythm. Marcus Aurelius taught something similar from a Stoic perspective. Be indifferent to what does not depend on you, yet remain kind and human to all. This is emotional contrast at its purest, calm under pressure, yet passionate in connection, detached in control, yet engaged when it matters. When you can switch from intensity to calm, from humor to silence, you become emotionally unpredictable, and unpredictability, when done with composure, builds obsession. Think about your past relationships for a moment. Wasn't it the moments when emotions fluctuated? The fight, the kiss after the fight, the apology, the look in her eyes, that burned into your memory. That's because our brains are wired to remember emotional spikes, not stability. If every day feels the same, even love starts to fade. So how do you use this without manipulation? By mastering your own emotions first. You can't influence contrast if you're constantly reacting. When she pulls away, you don't chase, you pause. When she gets emotional, you stay calm, not cold but grounded. When she least expects it, you surprise her, not with gifts, but with depth. That's contrast. Imagine this. You're usually stoic, reserved, but one night, while walking together, you stop, look at her, and say quietly, "You know, I don't say this much, but you've really changed the way I see people." Then silence. That single moment, that gentle break from your usual calm, hits harder than 1,000 romantic gestures. 'Cause she felt the shift. She felt you. Emotional contrast is the art of balance. Never too cold, never too needy. It's about being warm enough to reach her heart, yet strong enough to keep your center. It's letting her feel your depth without ever letting her control it. Machiavelli might call it strategic power. Marcus Aurelius would call it emotional discipline. Either way, it's the difference between being liked and being remembered. So remember this. Don't aim to make her constantly happy. Aim to make her feel alive in your presence. Because emotions fade, but emotional contrast, that lingers. And when you master that balance, she won't just want you, she'll feel you even in your absence. 7. Control perception through silence. Silence is one of the darkest tools in the Machiavellian playbook. Most men talk too much. They try to explain, justify, or win approval through words. But silence creates fear, respect, and fascination all at once. When she sends a long text, pause. When she asks a deep question, smile. When she tests your patience, say nothing. Because silence makes her think. And the more she thinks about you, the deeper you sink into her mind. Even Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In this context, the best seduction is to be unlike every other man. Silence is power because it cannot be decoded. She'll replay your words, your pauses, your calmness, until she's mentally addicted. 8. The magnetism of self-control. Real seduction begins with emotional control. The man who can stay composed when tested, who can remain centered when she withdraws, who can smile instead of argue, that man becomes magnetic. Why? Because in a world of emotional chaos, calmness is rare. A woman's deepest instinct is to feel safe in your presence. Not because you're loud or dominant, but because your energy never wavers. When you master your self-control, when you respond, not react, you become the calm eye in her storm, and she'll chase that peace like an addiction. 9. The illusion of choice. Here's something Machiavelli understood centuries ago. People are easiest to influence when they believe they're choosing freely. In love, the same rule applies. When you give her small choices, would you rather meet Friday or Saturday? You're still leading. She feels in control, but you've already guided the outcome. This is subtle, psychological leadership, the kind Marcus Aurelius embodied without manipulation. It's about directing without forcing, guiding without demanding. When you master this, she feels free, yet somehow always drawn closer to your frame. 10. Walk away with dignity, the final move. Every seduction, every connection has one defining test. Can you walk away when your value isn't respected? Most men stay. They beg, plead, explain. But the Machiavellian man, the Stoic man, knows when to leave. And when he walks away, he does it with silence and calm. Because walking away is not about ego. It's about preserving power. It's about reminding her and yourself that your worth doesn't depend on anyone's validation. When you leave with dignity, she remembers you, not as the man who begged, but as the one who could have stayed, yet didn't need to. That's the final seduction, the one that turns attraction into obsession. So remember this. Seduction isn't about manipulation. It's about emotional mastery. It's about becoming the kind of man who commands attention, not by chasing it, but by earning it through calm confidence, mystery, and control. Because when you understand the dark psychology of attraction through Stoic wisdom, you stop playing the game and become the one who creates it. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.